deal with the question you've asked, which is there do seem to be, you're right, all these gestures all around us about rich and powerful people trying to make a difference. You're right, the ESG thing is real. All the CSR stuff that's happening is real. All the philanthropy from Bill Gates on down is real. Lloyd Blankfein, Benioff, others saying something's broken is real. All of that's real, right? The question I took on in the book is why is it that in an era in which rich people are doing all this stuff from philanthropy to within company activity itself to make the world better, why is it that the fundamentals are as follows? The top 1% still corners 49% of new income. The bottom 80% now have as much wealth as the top 0.1%. The 400 richest families in America, as you know, pay a lower effective tax rate than middle-class Americans. And over the last, 40 years, 30 years, since 1989, you've seen the top 1% gain $21 trillion in wealth in this country, where the bottom half of Americans have lost $900 billion in wealth. So all that stuff is nice activity. But in my view, it is lubricant in an engine of continued exploitation. It is just enough nice stuff to preserve a system of manic hypercapitalism in America that is grinding most people down. And you ask, why is democratic socialism flourishing on the left? Why is someone like Donald Trump, who frankly ran against a certain kind of financial capitalism, the president on the right? Why are anti-free trade ideas now spreading? It is because, frankly, a lot of us in journalism also bear responsibility, those of us who cover business in particular. While American capitalism was starting to fail larger and larger numbers of people, we kept telling old stories about how the people responsible for the breakdown of the American dream and the imperiling of the planet could be the cops on the beat to fix it. Arsonists cannot be firefighters. And the only answer to a winners-take-all world is a world in which the winners take less, and they're not going to take less voluntarily, as my call with Jamie Dimon reveals. They're going to have to be made to take less through policy and law.
And that's exactly the point, Anand. And I think sometimes this gets lost in some of the discussions that are had around this idea of capitalism and American capitalism broken, etc. It's not just businesses in corporate America and the so-called free market. It's the intersection of all of those things with government. And some of the places where you see the biggest breaks or the biggest dysfunction are some of those industries and some of those areas where the two have intersected very heavily and things have gotten very distorted. So I guess it sort of gets to the key point. Why is it up to something like, say, the Business Roundtable to implement these changes when it should really be the job of, say, Congress and lawmakers?
That's exactly right. But there's an answer to that, which is the Business Roundtable, let's be very clear, does not want this to be done. Doesn't want stakeholder capitalism or more humane capitalism to be prosecuted by Congress and lawmakers. They may say they're open to it, but they don't want that. So what they do is they get in front of it. You talk in PR, you talk about getting in front of a story. They get in front of this capitalist reform agenda that is bubbling up among the people and say, no, don't tax us more. Don't do a wealth tax. Don't regulate Wall Street more. We got this, y'all. We got this. We are going to regulate ourselves. We're going to regulate ourselves, like Mitt Romney's self-deportation. They're gonna kind of make capitalism woke by themselves. And I challenge, my DMs on Twitter are open, like my heart. And I challenge the CEOs of the Business Roundtable. Message me if there is a single tax loophole that you used in 2018 that you plan not to use for 2019 because of this Business Roundtable. Message me if there's a single thing you've lobbied for in Washington in the past that was bad for America but good for your company that you now plan to not lobby for because of this Business Roundtable statement. Let me know if there's a single environmental practice that you were not super proud of before that you're now planning to renounce because of this statement. The burden is not on us to prove that business is somehow not rising to the challenge. The burden is on business to actually get out of the way of a democracy where large majorities of people want to do a bunch of things and keep being blocked from doing so by corporate lobbyists.